Okay, to call it the PoE Texas booth here at Bixie.
Yes.
And this is Vegas.
Yes.
I'll be like, hey, thanks for joining us in Las Vegas. No.
All right, Matt. I think we're ready to go. We're getting started. We're going to fire this presentation off. Hey, everybody joining in on the call. We see you get everybody starting to show up. Shoot us a chat on YouTube and let us know you're here. We decided not to stream to Facebook because it was getting real funky and Facebook had an issue with our stream this morning. So we're sticking to YouTube, and you can find the link to it in Facebook. But if you're here, you've seen it already. So I'm very excited. I'll just give you a quick, while we're waiting for the stream to start, because we've got my guest online. He's hanging out next door. I'm live streaming to you from the PoE Texas virtual studio here in Austin, Texas. We've set up an entire warehouse full of automation. We've got lighting, we've got doors, we've got blinds going in, we've got curtains going in. We're going to do access control, we're going to do people counting, we're going to do 43-inch PoE displays, and this guy behind me is actually a rack unit that's running all the automation here. It's very cool. So I bring it up because if you're out there thinking to yourself, gee, I wonder if they could automate this, or if we could make this work, let us know. Hit the chat lines and tell us what you want to automate, because we can do it right here. We've got a whole space. It's kitted out with cameras, so you can see PTZ cameras, and hopefully we're going to get it all set up so you can even control things from your desktop at home. So let us know what you want to see, and we'll get this show started right now. Hey, welcome everyone to Bixie Live with PoE Texas. We're streaming live from Converge PoE. And I'll tell you what, virtual trade shows are just different, right? I mean, when will you ever get to sit in a Zoom meeting all day while riding in your PJs? Oh, that's right, all the frickin' time now. Since about March, we've all been sitting at home in our PJs, living the dream, right? But if we're gonna do it, and then at least here at PoE Texas, we're gonna make it interesting for you. We've gathered the top experts in the world on PoE and ask them to come do some quick presentations on important, relevant topics for Power over Ethernet for intelligent buildings, including concepting, designing, wiring, networking, creating wellness. That's what you're going to find here today. And I've thrown a link into the chat line to show you where all the sessions are. You can see all of the sessions with PoE Texas. You can hit the PoE Texas booth and talk to a lot of the speakers. It is a great opportunity. At least you've got something cool. And like I said, we are live in a true virtual set here in PoE Texas. Hit the Bixie chat, hit the YouTube chat. Tell us what you want to see automated or what you'd like to see us set up and configure, including all of your favorite Igor products. Right now, we have Mr. Matt Conger from Igor, who's going to talk to you about your intelligent building and really how to maximize your IoT potential. And it's really a conversation about concepting your building with your customers, because that's really the big sell point is, excuse me, is helping customers understand what value they can achieve and what their intelligent building should look like. And I'll just give a shout out. You can see Dwight Stewart, the founder of Igor. He'll be presenting at a Bixie session in just a few hours. So make sure you catch that. Very cool and important stuff. So, and don't forget, tomorrow we're hosting Andy Rittenhouse with Somfy Systems, who's going to be talking about how to use blinds and shades to manage circadian rhythms and drive wellness in the workplace, as well as Louis Sau, who was a Cisco exec, gone independent, and now has a unique independent look at PoE, automation, networking, and power. But now, let's talk about our guest, the man, the myth, the legend. My guest this morning, or this afternoon, has been at Bixie with us before. We had to, he and I actually broke into the Bixie show during our off hours last year to live stream. And so go back and check that one out with Matt. Matt Conger is the Director of Business Development for Igor, most specifically the IoT platform. In his past, he's been responsible for building systems, specification sales, and in leading production management teams at Cooper Lighting Controls Group. And he has let me make sure I get this right, a BS in Industrial Systems Engineering and an MBA in Marketing. So with that, I'm done talking. You want to hear from the expert. Let's bring Matt on and hear what he's got to talk to you about maximizing your IoT infrastructure.
Awesome, Tyler. Thank you so much for the introduction, and thanks for putting this event together. So PoE Texas booth here at Bixie. While not physically present with you, I hope you're enjoying some of this content. As a reminder, Tyler's team, or PoE Texas, has some of the best intelligent building, and more specifically, intelligent buildings that leverage Power over Ethernet content available on the web today. So go check it out at their YouTube page. You can also check out some great YouTube content at our YouTube page. Amazing information, priceless. Anything you want to know: how do you build systems? Why do we do systems? Who's buying systems? All that is there. And so, but hey, let's jump to the point of why you're hopefully joining me here this afternoon. So we're going to talk about maximizing your IoT investment. As we do that, so I'm Matt Conger. I do business development and some other roles here at Igor. And Igor, we've been around for more than half a decade now, I believe it is. And we're a leader at enabling intelligent buildings that leverage Power over Ethernet. And so that's why one of our taglines is enabling smart buildings. And so smart buildings, when we're talking about them, the things that we're stressing to our clients, or our clients are coming to us about, are how can I make my workers more productive? How can I make my occupants happier or more fulfilled? How do I increase their safety and security, all while maximizing my energy savings and minimizing my maintenance? And all those things can be achieved through leveraging Igor's intelligent building platform that is Nexus. And so Nexus, what it's like I call it as like your central nervous system for your building. It is your, It's the digital infrastructure as well as the software application that runs it. And so the way we define it is Nexos is a centralized IoT platform designed to turn structures in the built environment into future-proof smart buildings. So very big picture type stuff, right? So let's go into some more details. So why do we need things like Nexus? Why do we need IoT platforms? And so the reason is because here's 5 examples. Are one, so creating open APIs or automation programming interfaces that allow third-party applications to integrate. And so an example might be I'm collecting a lot of HVAC data or a lot of lighting data, particularly like energy management type data. And there's now artificial intelligence that can collect that information and then do prescriptive results, right? So it can analyze that data, it can find anomalies or room for improvements, and then it can act on those improvements. And so with open APIs or REST APIs, we can easily share that information with those kind of systems. It's a unified platform to better manage your objects in your building. So if you think about a building today, you have terribly siloed systems, whether it be your HVAC, your lighting, your access control, your indoor air quality, your mobile asset tracking. And so if I can bring all those different systems under a single platform so I can manage all those objects, I make it easier to find, or Nexus makes it easier to find opportunities for improvement or just managing your buildings, right? The platform, it does enable, it's two-way communication. So like, let's take a light fixture example. Not only are we delivering power to it, but we're collecting data about it. We're telling it what to do, and it's communicating back what it's collecting. So maybe you'll have a light fixture and it's got sensors embedded in it. So we're collecting back motion, daylight, temperature, humidity, all kinds of information from these objects, and doing that is very beneficial. And then the integrations of the future are endless, right? So once you've built your building leveraging a digital infrastructure, which is power over Ethernet, you can easily take, maybe I want my motion sensor from the lighting system to tell the security system when there's been a break-in or something. Now you can much more easily do that now that those objects are all living on a single platform. And then lastly, the fact that it is a low voltage wired solution. And so what you get with that is you get enhanced security, reliability, and scalability. So we leverage power over Ethernet for the bulk of what we do because it's robust, it's proven, it's global. And there's no more secure way and no more safer way to deliver power and data throughout a building's infrastructure. So going one step deeper, I like to kind of show what the system is made of. So down here at the bottom, we have things like sometimes I'll call them disparate objects. Sometimes I'll just call them actuators, sensors, devices, whatever those things are. And the idea is we take non-PoE and sometimes PoE objects, and then we turn them into an intelligent IoT endpoints. So we connect those things like a light or a wall control or a motorized shade to a nearby Igor node. And the Igor node is communicating via power over Ethernet. So it's getting its power and it's communicating via CoAP back to a centralized processor. So our centralized processor, or shown here, is our Igor gateway. Typically lives on-prem. It's a Windows-based processor, and so that's going to live on-prem, and the reason it's on-premise is so that we can ensure reliability and real-time communication. One of the biggest benefits of leveraging this infrastructure is the fact that it is near real-time. And then that software, it can then has a RESTful API built into it, so we can integrate there locally, or we even have backnet stack capability, so we can push and pull to backnet objects. And then we can also serve data up to the cloud. And so that once the items are in the cloud or the data is in the cloud, we can do cloud level integrations. And then we can also do analytics with that cloud data. So as in the example I showed you earlier. So it's the Nexus, it is an IoT platform. It's future-proof for intelligent buildings. It's edge infrastructure, edge intelligence, right? Easily adaptable because it's all low voltage and it's terribly secure. There's no better way to deploy an IoT system than there is with Igor and our Nexus platform. So if we take a look at these nodes or these end objects that connect to these things like lights or sensors or motor or pumps or whatever it is you're interested in connecting to, they do utilize that standard power over Ethernet infrastructure as a secure backbone. And we can work with up to 99 watts, or what is, I think, 802.3 BT standard. We have the ability to, every node can be its own home run, but we can also place multiple nodes on a single home run, thus eliminating Ethernet, labor, number of ports required. And so that allows you to connect all kinds of different sensors on one home run, and that's an amazing benefit. And then on top of that, this is all UL 924 listed, which means that you can utilize PoE for emergency lighting. And so if you're familiar with commercial building standards, it requires that you have egress lighting. Egress lighting must be maintained at a certain foot candle for 90 minutes, and then your controls platform must be listed as UL 924 to comply with that. And so we're able to achieve that, and that allows us to do 100% of your lighting in a commercial building. And when I say 100%, I'm usually referring to all your indoor, and then usually your building exterior, not so much in the parking lot, but everything else. So it's a ton. The Igor nodes, we have a couple different form factors here. You know, we're showing our Rev 5 node, which is supports up to 60 watts, and then our Rev 6 node there, which is more of that linear form factor, and it was intended to live inside light fixtures initially, and that'll support the 802.3 BT and up to the 99 watts. And those objects, not only can they connect and communicate with wired devices, but they also can communicate with wireless devices. So we connect things like Bluetooth endpoints, right? And so if there's other Bluetooth objects or mobile assets moving around in a space, we can easily communicate to those. Or if your client said, hey, I really love in-ocean and I have a lot of in-ocean light switches and in-ocean sensors, and I really just want to standardize on in-ocean, we can easily do in-ocean to Igor interface and then be able to communicate with all those devices as well. So it's a really, really flexible and robust system. It's almost too flexible at time. All the different things it can do, it can be very overwhelming. And so I definitely recommend you go to our YouTube page and check out any one of our number of videos that we've had posted there, which teaches you a lot about system topology, about Nexus, about our hardware, about all the different things you can do with it. Wonderful content located there, as well as everything that Tyler does on his pages. So what are some of the things that you can connect to with these nodes, these Igor objects? And so typically we support, or we'll break them into two categories. We talk about sensors and we talk about actuators. So let's look at a type of sensor we might support. We have some clients that are interested in indoor air quality. So we're seeing indoor air quality is pretty popular globally, right? Because you have a lot of urban environments where the quality of air is just, it's not that great outdoors. And then here in the States, we're seeing it as well. Again, your urban environments. And then there's been a recent uptick in activity driven by a lot of the fires in California. And so it's like, okay, you know, hey, if we're going to go live and work and spend all of our time inside these buildings, we want to ensure we're providing safe air or safe humidity levels, safe temperature levels. We want to make sure we're not delivering deadly or things like particulate matter. So particulate matter 2.5, we want to make sure that we're not exposing our lungs to things like that. And so you can easily deploy those types of sensors on our infrastructure to basically ensure you're keeping your employees safe. If you're in like a conference room environment, and you noticed a lot of times when you have folks in a classroom or a conference room, that it'll start to feel stuffy, or maybe CO2 levels will increase. And so you want to move either one, fresh outdoor air, or two, recirculated air. And so by monitoring CO2 levels, you can better determine when to run your HVAC systems. And so those are just a couple sensor examples. From an actuator standpoint, some of the more exciting ones are a lock, a ceiling fan, an exhaust fan. Magnetic door strikes are perfect. So you could say when someone's approaching the door, unlock that door, or if someone has a Bluetooth asset tag and they approach that door, unlock that door, and that's all implemented through Igor. Motorized shades are an amazing one. With our new Rev 7 constant voltage node, we can now take a pair of DC RS-45 communicating shades or motors, and we can power and individually control up to two shades or two motors from a single Igor node. And so now, or in the past, motorized shades were a lot of times thought of as too expensive, right? And so now that we have things like LEED and WELL standards that are driving the need to bring in more natural light and also less glare, we're using more and more shades. And so there's no better way to do that than there is with a motorized shade. And then deploying that with Igor, there's no more cost-effective way of doing it, as well as the ability to integrate it with all these other systems and objects that we support. If you have some ideas for some sensors or actuators that you'd like to see, give us a call. Would love to talk to you about how we could support you on your project. Basically, if it communicates serially or analog, constant voltage, constant current, you name it, we can support it.
Now, Matt, I just point out, a lot of people would say, yeah, this is all pie in the sky. They claim they can do anything and everything. But one of the things that I do like about the Igor website is you actually have a partner portal where I can go in and see all of the devices that have already been vetted out, tested, and function with Igor and will work on the platform. So it's not that these are just like claims that this can do it. You can actually see the products that do that, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. So one of the strengths with Igor is our ecosystem of partners, and so PoE Texas is one of our key allies. And so by bringing together these other entities, these other software providers, solutions providers, hardware providers, and then we'll work with them to test some of their equipment to ensure that it's compatible and it works. And then we'll take a sampling of those products and we'll list them and show them on our website. It's not an all inclusive list. There's a lot more items out there that are not shown on the website, but it gives you a great sampling of what we're capable of. And so if you don't see something on there that you're interested in, please reach out to us. Don't get me wrong, there's a plethora of objects there today. But if there's something specifically you're interested in, we could definitely talk to you about it. Thanks for pointing that out, Tyler.
Yeah.
So let's not bore you with just slides. I like to go into, or not just slides, but I like to give real world examples about how we're taking the Nexus platform and then applying it into various built environments. So this one is near and dear, close to everyone's hearts. It's why we're in a remote setting today and not meeting you face to face at the booth. Is disinfection as it relates to viruses and bacteria. So a very common virus that we all talk about right now is COVID or coronavirus or whatever it is that you want to refer to it as. And so when that started to hit in the North America in late February, early March, we got together a team and said, hey, we can deliver light, we can deliver power and controls all over Power over Ethernet. And so what can we do with that? And so we knew that UVC, which is a particular spectrum of light, the one we utilize is 265 nanometer wavelength, will inactivate viruses and bacteria. So some other viruses are like H1N1, and then some other bacteria might be like C. diff or Salmonella. And so if you take UVC light, or in particular 265 nanometer wavelength, and you expose those germs to that light source, it will inactivate or kill what it is. We prefer to say inactivation though. But one of the challenges with UVC light is that it's for us or humans, so it will cause skin redness and it'll cause eye irritation. And so it's not advised that we expose people to the light, but yet we want to utilize it to inactivate things like COVID. So we needed to come up with an automation event, right? That basically said, if then do this. And so the idea was we can safely deploy UVC. We can deploy it as a retrofit without requiring licensed electricians, right? Because it's all low voltage. And then we can deploy automation so that we can prevent, one, we can say, hey, I want to run it for 30 minutes at 2 a.m. to 2:30 in the morning, or I want to run it between meetings in a conference room. So what we do is when we're deploying the lighting, we're also deploying sensors and other objects. So some of the sensors that we'll deploy are things like maybe like a door contact or a motion sensor or a people counting sensor or an air pressure sensor. And so, if someone were to try to inadvertently open the door when the UVC disinfection mode is running, it'll stop it, right? Or if the motion sensor detects motion, it'll stop it. Or maybe if the motion sensor no longer detects motion, but the door contact didn't open and close, then maybe it shouldn't run it. And so the whole idea is how can we safely deploy it or safely deliver disinfection without putting humans in an uncomfortable position. And so we're able to do that with this disinfection solution. So it's just an example of how we take the Nexos platform, so hardware and software applications, to create total solutions, right? And we're having some success in the corporate office environment, in those conference rooms, restrooms, places where you have interactions of large numbers of people or multiple persons in a smaller space, and then classrooms, locker room areas, multiple environments is where we're seeing this being used. So if you have a need, or you know someone that's looking for a disinfection solution, right, and then there's really no better way to do it than with an automated low voltage proven solution like this one here. Is another example of things you can do with the platform is real-time location services, or RTLS. So one of our partners, Avani, is a real expert in Bluetooth technology. They typically use Bluetooth to do their network presence sensing solution, which is a form of space utilization, measuring Bluetooth signal strength between objects. It's pretty amazing. And well, what we're able to do though is what we'll do is we'll take an Igor node, and then we'll take a Avani Bluetooth object sensor and connect it to a nearby Igor node. And then that sensor can then see mobile objects in the space, or basically anything that's Bluetooth enabled or has a Bluetooth tag or a beacon. And so what I did is I wanted to show a couple examples of kind of like how this works, and then we can talk about what's the value of this, or where might you deploy it. So Tyler, would you mind running either of those two videos, either the button or the locate?
So I'm going to press the pop-up info.
That'll work.
And we'll see that one. So it's rolling right now.
Cool. Yeah, so like on this one, you can see this is a smaller commercial office area. So you've got like some cubicle areas or workstations, and you have some private office, some meeting rooms, some restrooms, and some hallways. And so you see the reddish orange objects with a white dot in the middle moving around. And then right now it's showing what that asset tag's information is. And so you could think of, hey, I'm looking for that mobile defibrillator, or hey, I'm looking for Susan. How do I find those individuals? And so you can do searches and find things like this. And so here's just an example of the way that something like that can be deployed in a data center environment. You might consider during a safety event, the data center wants to know that all persons have exited the building, and so you can easily identify that or know if someone isn't still in the building, where are they at? Or you can identify, you can do things like contact tracing. So if someone is sick and has to be out of work, or there's a concern, then you can go back and look at history and determine if they might have had any interaction with other individuals, and maybe have them communicate to them that there might be a concern here. So that's just one example. Tyler, would you mind pulling up the other one?
Yep, it's up and running.
Cool. So this other example is, again, same office space, but then you see a red and white dot notification here that's flashing. And so that could be an example of a panic button. So I'm in a hotel environment, and I want to know where my staff is at all times. And so if there's an issue in a particular room or particular area of the hotel, this can indicate, where are they, where are they, when was it pressed, and who pressed it. So all that can be done through real-time location services. Another one of our partners has a wearable that you wear in maybe a manufacturing or a warehousing environment, and then that wearable is tracking your local indoor air quality around you, as well as it's looking for things like inadvertent slips and falls. And so there's all kinds of things we can do with real-time location services that are creating value for our clients.
Great. So the videos are off now, and it's back to you, Matt.
Cool, thanks. So I think if I remember it, I might be going directly into another video. Let's see what we got here. Yep, another video. So before you show it, Tyler, I'll introduce this one. So this is a school that we completed, gosh, it's been almost 2 years now, I think, maybe a year and a half. And the school system came to us and communicated that they had a concern with safety and security in their school. And one of the particular instances is that during these stressful and uncommon events, it's very difficult to deliver structured, organized, and easily to interpret and follow communications. And so they wanted a way to automate these events such that, like, if there was a tornado, then the tornado warning would go off, and then that would change colors of the lights that indicate a tornado, and then maybe doors lock or unlock, whiteboards start displaying messaging. And so they created these different scenarios or events for whether it be like a lockdown scenario, an active shooter scenario, fire scenario, or tornado scenario, and then created these sequence of events to unify their communication to both students and staff on site, as well as teachers, families, friends, and others, persons that need to be in the know from another location. That's one of the things they did. But then also, when they were doing this, they were like, well, heck, if we're doing these other items, is there anything we can do to make the quality of the learning environment better? And so what they chose to do in this example was deploy tunable white lighting with scene control stations. And so the concept is that by allowing people to control their light and allowing people to change the color temperatures of their light, students can be more productive, achieve better grades, teachers and staff can be happier and more fulfilled or productive. And so this little video speaks to it. So Tyler, if you'll show it, that'd be great.
Sure. What it was for, and if you tried to take it out of my room now, I'd be furious, because I can control the mood and the lighting very quickly, and we adjust it. I probably adjust it 5 or 6 times during class, and I don't know how much the students are aware, but it absolutely impacts.
Yeah, so that's Mary Claire Wright, and a great teacher, great students too. So yeah, so she uses it frequently every day to help reset the student's clock, get their attention, get them refocused on what she's teaching at that moment, and she's had great success with it.
Fantastic, Matt. Well, hey, Matt, I'm just going to make sure I call out to everybody watching. We know we've hit our time. We're at 30 minutes. Stick around. I think Matt just has a few more minutes of presenting, and he's happy to take questions. But so, Matt, if you have a little bit more, keep going. I'm enthralled. And if you've got questions, I'm monitoring the chat both at Bixie and on YouTube. So let us know what you'd like to ask Matt.
Oh yeah, so that was the main examples I wanted to share today, and really does conclude the presentation. So if you have any other examples or objects that you want to talk about or challenges that you're interested in with maximizing your IoT spend, we'd love to help you out.
Well, you know, Matt, I think if you've got a second, the UL 924 emergency lighting question seems to come up all the time. And you touched on it a little before, but I would love to get your input as an installer or somebody who's going to go in and talk to the AHJ, or maybe that's your tip, is go talk to the AHJ. How do you handle the emergency lighting question with an Igor system?
Yeah, first off, my first stop is always at the MEP firm, or mechanical, electrical, and plumbing electrical engineer, professional engineer. And when you're meeting with that electrical engineer, to share with them that the system is UL 924, and then share with them the system topology diagrams that we put together that do a great job communicating how the system responds during an event and what makes this applicable and how this makes actually makes their jobs easier of designing these systems. And so once you've got your MVP friends on board, then depending on the size of your project, you might want to communicate with your local AHJ. And so your AHJ is typically not going to have much experience or familiarity with PoE lighting systems in particular, right? Because it's just so new and the technology is changing so frequently. And so a lot of times it's good to have like demonstration equipment with you to show them how you could take a light fixture and some sort of power sourcing equipment, and then with an Ethernet cable, plug it in and it turns on, right? So then you'll show them that just how easy it is to move power to those systems and to do that safely. And then if they have any concerns with the meeting the local codes or providing the 90 minutes of egress lighting, then walk them through that topology example. And then lastly is to share, well, usually just share examples of other completed projects around North America. If we've got one in their state or in their backyard, we invite them to those sites. Otherwise, we'll connect them with other HJs or with other end users that are deployed these systems safely, securely. We'll also connect them with our UL liaison, anything that they need to feel comfortable with the system.
Great. That's fantastic. Well, people are asking good questions, or ask good questions about this, and everybody would like to learn more. Okay, so Matt, maybe you could wrap us up in the last minute or two, because I do want to respect everybody's time. What is the most interesting or unusual automation you've been convinced Igor to do for you, or Igor's been convinced to do, that just might be something that you don't think maybe most people looking at it from the outside would go, you can automate that?
Yeah, I'll give a couple examples. I struggle to remember the coolest ones. I always remember the last one we did, right? And that,
Yeah.
I think that's like anybody. So one of the last ones that pops into my head was a weather alert. And so there's a weather alerting system at this fire station, and they actually came to us because they had a dispatch system, right? And they wanted to use the Igor lights to indicate an EMS or a fire event that's tied to that dispatch system. And then after we got nearly complete with deploying the system, they also said, well, hey, we're interested in weather alerts as well. And so they literally pulled out some of this weather equipment that we really had no familiarity with, and we're able to look over its documentation and determine that we could receive a signal from it, and then program the lights and the entire system to respond accordingly. That particular client is also doing things like a doorbell and a number of other objects. So that was pretty fun. And then another one that comes to mind is I would say the see. No, 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 I don't know if I do that one. Let's do people counting. Yeah. So
Hmm.
the 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 client is interested in knowing how many people are in each conference room for the purposes of social distancing, as well as to know how they're utilizing their spaces. And so we were able to find a sensor partner that can sense those objects or sense those people, and then output that data. And so that was pretty exciting as well. It's fun to for a client to come to us and treat us as the trusted advisor, is like to use IoT to solve a problem. And then because it is an open platform, thank goodness we've already solved a lot of those problems, but there's times where we haven't run across that particular challenge. So then we'll go reach out to our network of friends to find hardware or some other object that can collect information and then integrate to it. And that makes this really exciting, is that every day it's something new and different.
Fantastic. Well, hey, Matt, we've used our time. I felt like it's been super productive. I learned a lot. I always do whenever I'm talking with you. So if why don't we go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll give a big shout out and thanks. Everybody, shoot Matt a text on YouTube or Bixie, just letting him know how much you appreciate it, because it was a huge sacrifice of his time and energy to come sit with us today. Matt, thank you. I'm going to switch us over, and we'll get you headed over to the Bixie booth.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler.
All right, so everyone, thank you so much for coming. It is, as always, a pleasure, and Matt is always an awesome guest to have on the show. So thank you so much talking about how to get the most out of your PoE infrastructure. Don't forget that if you'd like to chat with Matt directly, you can catch him at the Bixie booth. You can catch him at our Bixie booths here for the next 30 minutes or so. He'll be taking questions, answering any questions, working with you on any project you want to do. You can also reach out to Matt through Igor directly, or you can reach out to PoE Texas. I can put you in contact with Matt. It is not a problem. We do distribute Igor products very proudly.
But yeah, please remember to run down to Dwight's presentation that's coming up here shortly.
Thank you for the reminder, Matt. Make it to Dwight's presentation. I guarantee you're going to find it illuminating and enlightening. If you'd like, I threw in the chat line a free link to get into the exhibit hall, so you can come see any exhibitor at Bixie for free, which is the right price and the best price you're going to find in the next 10 years. So don't forget to join us tomorrow morning when Andy Rittenhouse with Somfy Systems will show you how to use Power over Ethernet blinds and shades to manage daylight, circadian rhythm, and wellness. Thank you all so much for joining us today, and we will see you tomorrow morning.